Yep. Okay. Coach, you want to start us off with the opening statement?
Okay. Well, I think we got a big week ahead of us. Rivalry game against IU. Not only do our players know the meaning of this rivalry, but obviously our fans do. So, it's at their place. And Indiana's coming off a big win at Michigan State. And we've got to have a good week of practice, like always, get better, continue to try to find a way to improve and eliminate mistakes, become more efficient, and try to finish this regular season as strong as we can. Indiana went with an athletic quarterback this past game and was able to run the football effectively. He was able to quarterback run the ball quite a bit as well and gave him a spark. So we definitely have to prepare for that as well as the ability to put in other quarterbacks when they need to. So that'll be the challenge for us. Defensively, they have 10 senior starters. They know the scheme, they know the system, and they played a lot of close games. So we've got to make sure we're ready to go.
Questions? Tom?
Jeff, what are you most proud of this team so far?
Well, I'm very proud of our team because they do work hard. They do everything they can to try to improve each and every week and find a way to win. Some weeks we find a way to look really, really good. Other weeks we find a way to just survive. But that's part of college football, and I think that they're able to take constructive criticism and find ways to improve and stick together. And I think they're a hungry group. So I'm proud of the effort they've given us, and I hope that continues throughout this next game.
What do you think Aidan O'Connell's legacy will be?
Well, I think Aidan has really gone above and beyond to prove his worth, and he started at the bottom and worked his all the way up to the top, and that's not easy to do. He took a lot of chances, a lot of risk to get where he's at. He's put in a lot of hard work. He's been a great teammate. He's never complained. He continues to do what he can to help the team win, and I just think that it's a great story that not many people will take that chance or that risk because the odds are stacked against you, and he did, and he achieved a lot of success with it. So very proud of him, and I think it comes from he's got a great family, he's well grounded, and he's a great example of a Purdue Boilermaker.
We talked a little bit after the game about the penalty on Jalen Graham. Have you ever seen it called before? What are your thoughts on the application of it? And did you talk to Jalen at all?
Well, while it was a subtle change in his gait and stride, it does state in the rule that if you change your gait or stride, they can throw a flag. Now, I don't think Jalen intentionally was trying to do that, but he did, and we got a penalty for it, and it hurt us without question. And we can't have it happen. So, yes, we want to make sure that all of our players understand all the rules, that we can't have that happen. And have I seen more things happen that didn't get called? Yes, I have, but it was called, and we've got to deal with it and make better decisions.
Will we see Gus Hartwig the rest of the year? If not, who will snap the ball on Saturday in Bloomington?
No, unfortunately, Gus suffered a substantial injury. He'll be in a cast on his lower extremity for the next couple of weeks, and then he'll have surgery, and he'll be out for an extended period. So we appreciate all the great plays given us to this point and all the hard work, because he has played through a lot of other injuries as well. He was a leader of our offensive line, a great snapper, smart, tough, an in-state recruit that came and wanted to make a difference. And unfortunately, he got rolled up during the game and got injured. So, we'll get him back healthy, but it will take quite a bit of time. And what was the last question?
Will we start Spencer or Josh at center?
I think Josh will probably get the nod at center. He came in and played. He's our best snapper. He's just got to continue to improve and get better at the position. And then Spencer will back him up. And also Malachi, a true freshman who's been traveling with us to all the games, will be ready to go. So we'll have the ability to use any of those three.
Any update on Devin Mockabee?
Devin unfortunately got dinged early in the game, and he's going through the protocol you have to go through. So I don't know, what the status of him will be come game time, but we'll hopefully see later in the week.
You obviously feel good about Dylan and Kobe filling in if there's some reason Devin can't play.
Well, both those guys have played a lot of football, Dylan and Kobe, and they play hard, they work hard, different type of runners. So we got to make sure we, call as many plays that we feel comfortable that they can have success with. But I think they'll work hard and they'll, rise to the occasion and be ready to go for us.
With Jalen, did he play some linebacker for you on Saturday? Jalen Graham?
Well, that's what he plays for us.
No, I mean, he kind of moves around a lot, but I mean, he seemed to be in a different position.
You know what, you are correct. So Jalen is our hybrid outside linebacker nickel position. So with him, we can use him against regular run sets and spread sets and not have to bring in a bigger body to play linebacker to stop the run. Now, with that said, not to give away what we're doing, but you noticed it, he has moved around, and on certain calls, I don't want to give everything away, on certain calls, he'll move to a spot whether we think it's pass or run. So he has done that a few times. You are correct.
Right. He seemed to be in the middle of the linebackers.
Well, like I said, there are certain calls because the one he picked off, he was in the middle. So, not to give it away, but he, if we anticipate what we think is being called, we will move him around slightly to better suit the call.
Right. Did Kieran come out of Saturday's game okay, and would he be available for this week?
You know what? He played, really didn't want to come out. He's injured. Not many people would play with what he has. He came out as good as you can come out. Yes, he's very, very sore, and we'll get him as healthy as we can come game time. And but I'm going to assume he's going to go unless something comes up without a lot of practice.
How did the linebacker group hold up on Saturday?
Well, you know what? Kieran actually had tackles and had productivity, and O.C. Brothers continues to get better. That's been good to see. Jacob Wahlberg got in there. We want to see him continue to improve and be a guy we can count on for the future. Samizi got in some snaps, and once again, when he's in the right spot at the right time, he can hit and tackle. So we need him to finish the season strong for us.
5 years in this rivalry, what have you learned about this in-state battle?
Well, I think it's always a really good football game, and a lot of players on our team are from in-state. Maybe not as many from Indiana, but there are some. So a lot of guys know each other, and anytime you get to play against your buddies and people that you grew up with or played with or against, makes it more meaningful. And of course, our fans are a big part of this, and you always want to go out on a good note with a win. But in these type of games, doesn't matter what your record is, anybody can win a football game. I know, the game we lost a couple years ago, they had a really, really good, talented team. They were playing well. We were not playing so well, and it took them 3 overtimes to beat us. So, and that was at our stadium. So now we got to go to their stadium, and they're coming off a big win where they've made some adjustments and changes, and it sparked them to a win. And I'm sure they'll have a few other things up their sleeves and be ready to go. So, if we don't match that preparation intensity, then we'll be the ones leaving with a frown on our face.
Josh Kaltenberger kind of recount his recruiting story, how you got him here, and did you always earmark him as a center type of player for you?
Well, Josh is from Pennsylvania and came to our camp, he's looks the part. He's got really good size. Actually, he's strong in the weight room. He's a great young man, comes from a good family. What you weren't sure of was, maybe how great of an athlete is he going to be and the potential that he has. But, he's smart. He can really snap the football effectively, which is very important. We want to continue to see him get better at, playing fast, making calls, reacting to movement up front. That's where some things can happen where he needs to continue to improve at. But, he stepped in a critical situation and did an admirable job. And I think that he'll continue to improve. And he knows we need him, and he's got to, get it done for us. So I think he'll take pride in that. And he's been a great teammate, and he fits in well.
Earlier in the year, you struggled dealing with running quarterbacks. I think Florida Atlantic comes to mind, Syracuse a little bit. But where has your defense maybe improved in that area as you face a big challenge on Saturday?
Well, I thought we made improvements the last 2 weeks without question on defense. We've made some adjustments. I think they've all been beneficial. This past week, we knew they had a Wildcat package ready, and I think other than one time where they did it in a slightly different personnel, we had a call ready and we shut it down. I do think we're better equipped and prepared for it. If you watch Indiana's last game, they had some runs for their quarterback and some reads in certain sets, and it was effective. Then it started to get a little stale. Then they started to spread the field more and do it in a different way, and they hit in a couple other big runs. So they've got multiple ways to run the quarterback, and when you have that type of athlete in the game and you complete 2 passes during the game and you beat Michigan State, you're obviously doing a lot of things correctly. So we've got to have a wide variety of calls ready against the different personnel sets they have when it's a tighter box with a lot of blockers and when it's a wider set with a lot of more space, because they had the ability to change and it was effective for them. And that's going to be the challenge for us, is making sure we have a good plan for all those different scenarios, because I do think we've made strides on the subtle ways we've seen it, but they have taken it to hey, this is the full ball game. We've got a running quarterback in there, and you've got to defend it, and that's not easy to do. So we've got to really prepare hard and make sure we have a plan for that, and then have a plan if they want to pass or if they put a passing quarterback in as well.
Will Branson Dean be available this week?
More than likely not, but we'll see as the week goes on.
If you don't play in the Big Ten championship game, what does next week look like for you? Is it recruiting? Does that start for you and your staff, or kind of what happens next week?
Well, they've changed the rules in recruiting, and in my opinion, they change it for the Ohio States of the world and those, so it fits their plan better. But they've changed the recruiting to where now you cannot go on the road right away. You have to wait till the Friday after their last regular season game. So for us, that's when we'll first start hit the road and get out and recruit.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned Malachi earlier. Just what have you seen from him, as a true freshman offensive lineman, to work his way to a point to where you feel comfortable putting him out there if his name needs to be called? Well,
Malachi has traveled with us with every game, home and away. I think he's a good athlete. He's like every true freshman coming in. He's been disappointed he hadn't played, so he's had to adjust to that. But his time is going to come, and it could be this week. It could be whenever. So he has to make sure he's ready to go. So I think he's bright-eyed. He likes football. He likes to compete. He's got some toughness. We just got to continue to, put him in as much live action as we can to get him ready to go, so that he's used to the speed of the game once we get to it.
And then when it comes to preparing for Indiana, they have good special teams pieces. They have a dynamic returner who's returned to kickoffs for touchdowns this season, had one last week against Michigan State, a punter that can flip the field when maybe their offense isn't clicking. How do you go into this week, I guess, kind of preparing for that and making sure that aspect of the game isn't something that, is a key factor for them in that game?
Well, we've definitely got to prepare hard for that. They've done a really good job on special teams. They've gotten big plays. We've got to continue to improve. I thought we got better in certain elements this past week, even though we had the one punt blocked. Some other areas we got better at covering and getting down the field and using our speed and athleticism. So this week will be critical that we don't allow the big plays. We find a way to gain an edge like always. Defensively, they give you a lot of different looks, bring guys from all over, play a lot of different coverages, combo coverages, try to force you into making mistakes. So we've got to be sharp and it's always important to play good team football in all three segments. And, in this league, if all three aren't doing their part, you're not going to win.
Are you going to watch the Nebraska at Iowa game?
I'm not even sure. I know it's Friday. I don't know what time the game is. I'm sure as we're traveling, it'll pop on people's phone and things like that. But as you know, we've got a big one ahead of us in a rivalry game that means a lot. So we've got to just focus on that.
It seems like you've been getting Nick Carraway on the field a little bit more here later in the season. What have you seen from him? It seems like he's got a chance to be pretty good.
We really, really like Nick. He's done a great job for a true freshman. We're trying to get him on the field as much as we can, without question. As this week and even beyond, he'll continue to get more action, and then I think he could be a phenomenal player. A difference maker, a guy that has a bright future, a guy that can. Right now he loves to compete. He loves football. He loves to hit. At the end of the game, he's putting himself on special teams, going up to our coach and making sure that he's not coming off or making sure that he wants to go on and someone else come off because he's ready to go hit somebody. So he just plays with great effort, and he has great talent as well, and he works really hard. So I think he's got a chance to be, an outstanding player for us.
Sidnor's done some really positive things this year, too. Do you look at those two guys as kind of a nice little building block here for your future defensive lines?
Well, I think that we've made strides on the defensive line. We've developed depth. We've got more bodies. We've taken more recruits and commits at that position. We've committed to it, and we will always try to do that, but we've definitely made strides there. And a lot of guys have played football, so their experience level has gone up. We're able to rotate guys in, and Corday has definitely stood out and done a really good job. So I feel good that, as we analyze our roster at the end of the year, that's a position that doesn't need as much immediate help at all. And there's some other positions that we feel like we'll probably have to make sure we address. But the defensive line has developed a good nucleus of quite a few guys, and even though we've had injuries, we've been able to sustain, pretty productive play at that spot.
Among the freshmen this year who didn't play, any of those guys stand out during the redshirt years as guys you're especially enthusiastic about kind of moving forward long term?
Well, if you mentioned some names, I'm trying to think. Right now, I think Joe Strickland has made a lot of strides and will be a good player for us. He just got sick with mono that wiped him out quite a bit and dropped a lot of weight. Brady Allen continues to improve as a good young prospect. Max Claret tight end, I think, has a chance to do a really good job for us. Zion Steptoe has made strides at receiver as well. I'm trying to think, and there's probably more. But we spend quite a bit of time with them on Sunday, getting them a little bit extra work. A lot of those guys, go on the service team and go against our ones in practice. So, they got a chance to work against our best unit, and so it's important that we continue to develop them. Those are probably the main leaders, and there's probably a few others that are getting better that I left out. But I think we got a good crew that's just got to work hard throughout the remainder of the season and then make sure they really utilize spring ball to get better.